Hey everybody, welcome to Dirtycakes Live at 5. Great to see you. Today on the show we got the OBGMs, pronounced Nirvana, so I figured I'd wear one of their shirts for the show. You were listening to them in the background. This is one of their tracks called Cash off the new record. Very excited to see him. So we're going to be talking about with Des about all sorts of other stuff about him and all the other Oh Baby Give Me Mores. And we're going to really get into the new record, some of the stuff that they've been doing, how COVID's been handling. I don't know. We're going to get into all sorts of stuff. I'm super excited. So anyway, on today's show, the OBGMs. Let's see. Here we go. Oh, they're waving. Hi, OBGMs. Asked to join the thing, and then we can get you in the show. For all of y'all that are watching, that haven't had a chance to check it out, every week we do have a charity. Every month we select a different charity to make all of the donations to. We so far have raised a lot of money for the bail efforts for protesters for Black Lives Matter, as well as the ACLU. And this month we are going for Music Cares, a special place in my heart, because they've definitely helped the sound. If you don't know about Music Cares, check it out. They help musicians all around the country. And as always, very excited that my listeners. Hey, how you doing, my man? How's your day? Can you hear?
How you doing?
Doing well, man. It's another sunny day in Los Angeles, man. Where are you holding up right now?
Toronto, Ontario, Canada, you know what I'm saying? So it's sunny, but it gets cold, you know?
Right, yeah, sunny in Canada doesn't mean yeah, I got you.
It's a lie. It's definitely a lie. You can look outside and it might be negative something, you know, but we don't have Trump.
Well, and you got a pretty decent fella, if I do say so myself, from what I've seen, man.
Yeah, Justin's interesting. Justin has his downfalls, as every politician does.
Sure.
Justin has his downfalls, as other politicians does. But you know, when I think of it as like a game, he's in terms of world leaders, he's not doing that bad, and that's it. You know,
world leaders, he's above the curve for sure.
Yeah. In terms of world leaders, you know.
So what do you got? So I've got some liquid death here. I always like to drink these during the things. What do you got over there?
Red wine, yeah, some port actually. I like the sweet stuff, you know.
Port. How fancy!
Oh, you know, I gotta do a little bit, gotta do a little something, you know.
Life is in the nice, man. I hear you, absolutely. What type of port are you having?
Ooh, this one is from Sandman, from Porto, you know. Me and my fiance went to Porto once, just kind of on our first trip to Europe, and it kind of always stuck with us, getting port wine and all that type of stuff. So like it's a complete surprise. We were only kind of expecting to just stop through, and on our way to Paris and Spain, but like love this place. So this is how I remember it.
I got you. You know, me and my fiance, we went to like our third date, basically. We had other times. We did it backwards, you know. Like, I don't know if you ever saw the meme, but like you hook up and do all the things, and then like 3 months later, you actually understand who the person is, right?
Yeah.
Really do the dating thing so well. But our third date, actually, I found concert tickets for the Buzzcocks, right? And they were like €37 a piece. Now, mind you, I'm in LA, so I was like, that's a pretty good ticket. So I snagged it. Now, I didn't have a passport or anything at the time, and I was just like, hey, look. I got us 2 tickets to this show in Arnhem, like outside of Amsterdam, right? So it ends up being that she finds out, because she called herself a Jewish grandma. She just worked all the things, you know, got it all. So we ended up going out there. And so effectively our third date was to go to the Buzzcocks. And sadly, dude died like 8 days before the show. But we ended up having a great time anyway. And the club got a bunch of local bands all coming in and doing like punk covers, which is really weird to see kids do like Ramones and like Dogs and all these covers, but it's all in Dutch. You're like, I know, like I've heard Iggy Pop say all those words. It's just making it all. But it's funny. After that trip, I fell in love with Stroopwaffles.
Okay, cool.
Now it's just whenever I get waffle, that's my port. You know what I'm saying?
That's it. That's cool, man. I had the pleasure of going to Amsterdam once. It was an interesting time. It was fun. You know, so I can only imagine what that would have been like out there. You know.
Yeah, It was a great time. You know, it was like I think we spent an all of like 36 hours in Amsterdam. It was some like crazy thing, but
Yeah.
we we brought back at least 2 or 3 pounds of soup. I did personally in my stomach. You know, back to the States.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Good stuff. So I mean, I get we can't really travel right now. You know,
That's
and the
yeah.
whole touring and stuff. Did you guys have to cancel any gigs or like? I mean, I know
Yeah.
all.
So I was doing my research on you guys, and I was like, I feel like you guys had something similar happen to you. We, but for us, we took a little bit of time off, and our first show back, we hadn't played in our own city for a pretty long time. And our first show back was the day that Tom Hanks announced that he got COVID, and or was the day that the NBA got canceled. One of those days.
Sure.
It kind of just fucked us. It wasn't a great time. It wasn't a great time. Love the brave souls that came out and and risked a pandemic for us. But like it was supposed to be a much bigger thing, you know. So,
Exact thing. Like I was there. You know, we were there. You know, we had a live record that we had made the year before. It was our drummer Becky Reck. It was her birthday, and we had a show wide open. Becky's on the call. Hi, Becky. It was her birthday party, so Mike wide open for us, and no small children closed for us. We had a great big show, and we recorded it, and we actually released it as a live record because we went out to Rancho, and we were going to have that basically be the live record, and then we were going to release singles and do the tour and the record album. You know, do the whole tour. And like the night we had this show, people were trickling out because they basically shut down LA to the point of like you didn't know what was going on, and
yeah,
so there was a line out the door to get in, and by the headline, by like three, it was a 4-act show. By the time the fourth act went on, it was basically just the other bands because at some point everybody had gotten enough, text messages from their loved ones or families, or whatever. They all
yes, yeah,
this crew, like they had like 2 bartenders, the manager left. Like at the end of the night, it was 2 bartenders and the sound guy, and then us cleaning all the shit up. And
yeah.
I mean, it's hectic, but I guess that's just sort of what happens, you know. And I don't know about you guys, but we've been making the thing of like trying to release a live video or like new tracks off the record. Like I've been listening to you guys for a while since I got turned on to you by the Muslims.
Yes, yes, family over
But
there.
you know, like those girls turned me on to you, and I'm absolutely so thankful for it because I've been blasting some shit and like fight songs out and some new stuff and Cash and these things have been really, but I've been banging a lot lately. And so yeah, how have you guys been managing like what this looks like for you in this time?
It's interesting, right? Like none of us have ever experienced anything like this. Clearly,
And
again, is now different. Um, for bands like us that kind of pride our shows off of connection, like sweaty mosh pits and all that type of stuff. There's not a pathway back for that. So it's kind of it's sad in a way because it does feel like it's the death of an era for at least for the time being. But it's also interesting because it also prompted a bunch of cool other opportunities. I typically stayed away from online and doing anything, but when the pandemic started, like that's pretty much the only place where you can connect with people, like no matter where they are, right? So it's kind of been a blessing in disguise because I've got to kind of come out of my shell a little bit more, talk to more people, connect with people like on a bigger level than just playing our songs. And I've also just been able to get a voice for some other things that matter to me that like people that know me one on one would hear me talk about, but maybe they wouldn't hear me talk about publicly.
right,
Uh, so it's been a blessing. Like I've learned how to edit. You know, it's been a blessing, and I think it just prepares you for the different climate. If your whole business model is based off of small intimate shows, there may not be a pathway back for that. So you want to make music still, and you want to connect with people, you got to do something else. And so that's something I actually admire you guys of. You guys are very very active on social media. Very 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 active. I admire it. Like you got to get the voice out, right? Like.
yeah, you know, like in that being active about what you're talking about, I see a lot of bands that talk about themselves, and I'm a big fan of this. I don't know if you've ever heard of this YouTube series called Punk Rock MBA.
No, I haven't heard of it.
It's just really cool. It's this guy Finn McKenty that puts it on. We're having him next week. He's rad. But I was talking with him about like, well, what does it even look like nowadays, right? And like you see all these rock bands, and like they're just all the shit. All the pictures are like them from Cleveland or like
Yeah.
Vancouver. Something. It's like it's a shot of them on stage. You don't know if there's 3 people in the crowd, if it's fucking slammed, but it's clearly not from last night. There's no personal relationship. It's that, and then like pictures of the merchandise, which nobody's buying because they're not going to shows. So if they're already got it or they don't know, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like when this happens, like we took the thing of just like let's turn the platform that we have of having 50 some odd thousand whatever and really trying to take that as an opportunity to champion all the things that are important to us, right? And source of information and news and outreach. I think that I see a lot of people taking it different ways. Some people got real dark.
Yeah, a lot of people went dark. A lot of people went dark. A lot of people are probably not going to say anything until they know what's going to happen. But like, for fans at our level, particularly, like that's not an option.
Right.
Like we stay silent, we're already silent, So if we go ghost, and we'll have a hidden record for real. So we don't have the opportunity to stay silent and hold our records. But like I'm watching a lot of people. It all depends on what position they are. If you're a little bit more established, there's probably a little bit more wiggle room to disappear, and really reemerge with whatever values you want to come back with.
Yeah.
Right now is really a cool time to be loud. It's like such an important year. It's an election year for you guys. It's such an important year. It's a great period of social consciousness right now. So I think there's like a lot of different reasons to be loud right now, and like I couldn't imagine not saying anything this whole year. How's about?
It seems Canada has opened up a bit more. I've got some friends in British Columbia, and some folks. It seems like you guys have opened up. I mean, I'll be honest. Like, I was talking with the band like this weekend. We got together. We're like a little quarantine cruise. Basically, the drummer, the bass player, me.
Yeah.
We all got our little bubble, but like we're hanging. And we're working on the record and doing stuff. Like we just put out a new video this weekend, so we're all like going over there screaming over each other about little edits and little things. The fun shit, right? Like just the vibe, right? Because that's what it's about. And I said, sort of just like, I don't honestly expect to be on stage till spring. Like, I don't even know if that's really going to be an option because, given the political climate, there's not even a motivation for there to be a solution presented until at least like February.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I've been on the record of saying like a lot of places are moving through the stages, right? We're in Toronto, we're in stage 3, which is I guess the stage before it's all open, apparently. But I don't think that there is a pathway back until next summer, if not next fall. If I'm being honest, like touring, nah. From state to state, city to city, doubtful. Hopefully I'm wrong. Like until there's a vaccine, and if there is a vaccine, like that's another question. I don't see it back. So I think everybody kind of needs to reestablish like what they really want to do. We all love this art. We all love this music, right? We still want to keep on making it. But it's a safety issue now. Like, how do you get people out if they may die? That's crazy. Not gonna work. Yeah.
Whether it's like and I don't want my Becky has been talking about all these like alt show ideas that she's had, right? Like just trying to have fun stuff. And the honest truth is we haven't even been able to get into a room. Like I'm a guitar nerd. I got all the fucking pedals, right? Like, I mean, you can just overhear some of the guitars that I use. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're sort of in the lab here, as it were. And like, I haven't even heard my amplifiers in 4 months. Like,
Dang.
I don't think I've gone that long in 20 years.
Yo, like I feel dry. I feel the same. I have not met up. Like I met up with the band twice, and it was to shoot videos, and like that's pretty much it. We haven't played our instruments in a very, 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 very long time. But it's just when do you play? What are we playing for? So it'll be interesting, man. I can't wait till it's over. I know there will be another side of this, so that will be different, but it will be new and it'll be exciting, and I can't wait to see what that looks like.
I I think there's going to be so much like when you have this type of pent up energy and when you have this type of forced isolation and this sort of innovation that is required, what you do see out of it is something moving forward. And you know, one of the things that I've seen that's really rad is like I think the mantle of rock and roll has been sort of taken up by some of these like alt rappers who are now like have like electric guitars, they're making bands, and their social media killer, and they're just slaying the game, and like they're basically taking the route of like they're influencers that happen to make dope music, right?
Oxymorons, a band that I really, really love. They're probably one of those. Hello Yellow, another band that I'm really, really into. Just taking different styles. Like everybody in music, it feels like, unfortunately, like music isn't how it was like when I was growing up. And I feel like ancient when I say it, but I used to be able to walk into a lot more things. I used to go to the record store and I used to go through all the CDs that were there.
Oh yeah.
Was the rock CD, the everything CD, everything was kind of just mashed up. It's become more and more like, especially in the last couple of decades, where you're always in a box. What's your box? Is it rock and roll? Is it punk? Is it rap? Is it hip hop? Is it R&B? If you're of this race, you stay over here. If you're of this race, you stay over here. If you're of this gender, you stay over here, you know? And if you're of a non-gender, then we don't know where to put you. And that's kind of just how it's been delivered to us. But music is interesting because it's literally just notes. There are no boxes. You can just do whatever the fuck you want to do. And that's what we try to do over here. Like fuck a box. Like fuck a box. Like fuck a box.
Yeah.
I always talk about like I have a new niece, and when we play music, she's always dancing. How the hell does she know how to do that? Like,
right.
What are you thinking? Like, like
I love that.
Body. It's in your body. Music is in your body. Don't be confined to that. Nobody's thinking about this has rap with rock. Fuck all that shit. So it's interesting.
I was listening to this interview with Tom Waits. I'm a big Tom Waits fan, and I feel like you either dig him or you don't, right? Like I was talking to my friend, she doesn't dig him because she's like, I like all the music, and then the singer opens his mouth, and I can't listen to the band anymore. And I'm like, I get it. Like there's no fixing the singer. You're either on board or you're off. I get it. And like, I was watching this interview with him talking about making his record Alice, and he was talking about how like when he's writing lyrics and coming up with music, it's like the sounds are just shapes, and they're just trying to move some air in a room to make somebody feel something. And like when they can move the air in a way that makes the sun gods happy, and they just start making shapes with things going on, then like stuff starts to happen. And I feel I completely agree with you. You know, like I see so many things. While we do see this great resurgence of things of people like bending, you know, the barriers and kind of doing stuff, I feel like there's also this. There's also some of this like negative side of it where like people now have to be set into a specific box. Like there's a great band here called Garbage, which by the way, totally recommend.
Yeah, I've heard of them. Yeah.
Black. And they're rad. They actually opened the show up with us that we did. We had them open for us because they're like huge fans of Becky Wreck, who used to be, you know, Lunatics and La Muerte and all these bands, right? But when I see them play, like I asked them, like, how do you want me to put you on the flyer, right? Like, what do you want me to say? And they're like, communist slut punk, and I'm like, cool. But like I heard people talk about it afterwards, like, oh, it's this great like female fronted band. It's like, well, you've immediately now just like segmented off them like it's a female fronted punk band with like it's queercore or something. So now you're taking this is a super high energy live raw fucking band where most of them have never been in a band before. They don't know what the fuck they're doing, and it's fucking rad. And you this little fucking thing so you can put it on a shelf somewhere and know like where to put it. Like if there's just like a good section and a bad section, like it's going to Miles fucking Davis.
I wholeheartily agree. I feel actually, I feel two different ways about that because I love to pull both of those levers, which is, um, like I want people to know, like when I'm in a band, like I want people to know that this loud shit is made by a black person. I want them to know that. I like that. It's something that's very, very important to me. But I also want you to know it's in the good pile. This is the good pile over here. So somebody was going to really, really splice up like our band. They would splice it up in a way where we would be in a place, where unfortunately what's happened to us is, all right, I'm always fighting this battle with people and people don't really understand it, which is I identify as a punk band. So but we don't really make music that a lot of people consider punk. So we're not accepted in that box. So what other loud music could we be accepted in? Rock. Okay, cool. We're not fully accepted in that box either, right? So there's no other box, unfortunately, the way music is delivered to us nowadays in streaming services, as opposed to like cool piles. So unfortunately, if we're not able to correctly identify what that box is, I'm sure a band like Garbage would probably find out that your box might be so small that they may not spread you to the good shit, and that's fucking bullshit. Much would prefer good pile, bad pile.
Yeah.
Oh, much would prefer that. Yeah.
You know, like, and what defines that good pile and bad pile? I'll tell you this, and I've said this for a long ass time, because, like, I used to be a radio DJ before I got into all this. I was an FM DJ. I was on Sirius XM for years and years and years. And like, I had, like, a rock talk type show, and people always say, like, well, what do you play? And I'm like, look, here's what's good.
Yes.
I got a visceral response. Like, if I, like, there's bad music to me is like fucking wallpaper. Like, I don't know it's there. I'm occasionally annoyed by it when I notice that it's happening. You know, like to quote like High Fidelity, like when he gets like hungover one day and he shows up work, he's like, I just want something I can ignore. Like, that's not what I want, right? Like, I want to make an ugly face. I want to shake my hips. I want to like move from the heel of my foot to the toe of my foot, or have something like, whether it's like a G6 or I want to be a dog. Like, if for whatever reason, if it gets you going, fuck it. Like, that's cool. If it's like, horrible and it's boring and there's nothing new about it and you're not bringing anything new to the table to make somebody, like, if you're just doing a lesser version of something else, then what the fuck, like, that's what bad music is. And so for me, like, there's already a band doing the exact thing that you're doing, then I don't really care about what you're doing because somebody's already done. Like, you're clearly, like, I'm not saying to be.
It's interesting. Music a lot of days is a race to be second. I find a lot of musicians are making music with the wrong intentions. They're making music, in my opinion, because they want to emulate somebody else or something else. And I actually ran through that struggle myself. Like, I want to be accepted, so I'm going to make my version of fucking Smells Like Teen Spirit. Here it is. Like, there it is. But it's already been done. It's been done perfect. So there's nothing you can really do with that. And the fact that it's been done perfectly, everything that you possibly can do with that will be second, or third, or last. And the time that it probably takes you to develop and release it, even more time has gone. So unless you're trying to make something that's truly genuine to yourself and your feelings, like, you're disposable. And I feel like as soon as I learned that lesson for myself, like, I've been a lot happier in just making whatever. Fuck it. I'm just gonna make whatever I like, and fuck everything else. And hopefully other people like it too, And if they don't, they should. And that's how I feel. Because Nirvana, we're Nirvana. That's how I feel.
Like, I'll tell you this. I learned that I got that lesson like really early in my teenage years from some like kids, like some friend had an older brother that had, you know what I'm saying? There was a source, right?
Yeah.
Like, I was looking at guitars, right? Like, I was looking at electric guitars, right? And everybody had a fucking Strat or a Tele or a Les Paul or shit, and I was just like, what the fuck am I gonna do with this?
Yeah.
Like, no one on a Strat is gonna be as cool as like the 1,000 other motherfuckers. So, like, for instance, if you look at this, that's a SG.
Yeah, I got
a SG with a baritone Strat neck and Jaguar pickups. Like, all my shit is like this weird custom because it's like, You know what? That's what I need to get that thing, right? Like I
Yeah,
play guitars tuned down to A sharp, right?
yeah,
So we're way the fuck down there, but in Dirty Cakes, like that means that me and the bass player, who Rick Torres, who was the lead player for the fucking English beat lead guitar, we just trade off who's playing lead. Like, so we're basically in the same register. Instead of on a piano, somebody's over here and somebody's over here.
yeah,
Like when I'm playing chords, he's just fucking soloing and riffing and shit. And like
yeah.
the point about what that honesty looks like, I feel like honesty in community is kind of like what it's all about. And like if you're just trying to rip somebody off, like what is that doing? Now I'll be completely honest. Like there's so many times where I hear some shit on the radio. Like I was hearing one of your songs this morning. I forgot what it was. I think it was Not Again, maybe, where there's like a hook, there's a guitar hook for the verse and the way it goes in the chorus. And I was like, I could write that. You know,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
and I was like, what could I do? Like I could take that idea and do something with it. But instead of like seeing you got a house and I'm gonna build a house exactly like it, it's like, oh, you got like you made a house of bricks. That's cool. I'm gonna make a house of bricks, and I might go completely some other way. And then as soon as I bring it to the band and you let everybody get in on it, like,
Yeah, man. For us, like it's weird. Like, our process has always been like being conflicted because, like, especially during this last album cycle, um, like I honestly almost quit music. Like, I was just like, yo, I'm done with all the bullshit. Like, there's a lot of shit and there's a lot of politics that I'm not fit to navigate because I don't want to mince too many words. I don't want to talk too much. I want to get straight to the action. So I
make sure
think,
you write it on a T-shirt and put that in your next fucking song.
yeah, it's real. Like, I don't want to talk too much, but like it's more. But I think like for this record, it's interesting because it's we're really flirting with a bunch of different things, and I think people can tell what that looks like. I think they can tell if like we're ever trying to be accessible. Um, they know what the fuck that is. I think people can tell when you're trying to do something. But if you're
Taking the funk.
yeah, like that's it, and that's really yeah. I think people could tell what you're trying to do things. So like with Not Again, like we list Cash First, which is one of my favorite tracks on the record. Um, that came out, and that's kind of what more like the record sounds like. But we're like, I was like, I always wanted to make a punk song, like a song that motherfuckers could just embrace or point to, so they can have an access to us. But honestly, I honestly didn't even regret recording that song because I'm like the way I feel is like during the recording process we came in with like 20 tracks and like they're all just hard. And I was like, all right, how are we going to fill this up with just one soft one? Otherwise, we're going to be shouting at these motherfuckers for 25 minutes. All right, we're going to give them one song that's softer, and that's it. And that's it. I should have never done that. I should have just kept it with the hard shit. So Fight Song comes out, which I feel is cooler. And the next track that we have coming out, I feel is like my favorite song on the album. I don't want to do anything else after that. I don't know, man. I think the lesson I learned from this record was just kind of like don't compromise ever for anything ever. And you'll be all right.
You know, I hear you, man. Like I've compromised so many times on records over the years, and like, what
Why?
does it get you? Like when I listen to that 3-4 years later, like I can't listen to it. Like
That's
I'm right. I just can't do like the record that we just did. It was literally like that's our live set.
yeah.
Like we got a band together. We got songs. We had, you know, I like this joke. But when the Beatles played the Hollywood Bowl, they did 28 minutes. So we're better than them. We're gonna go longer than that, right? So like, yeah, like a slam in 25, which is like all you need. I've watched enough sitcom television to know 24 and a half minutes is the right amount of time to be in front.
Just about, yeah.
Like you never quite get too far, and you always leave them wanting a little bit more. And hey, look, if the guitar is solo and you're in the pit and things take a little longer, or like our last show, we brought out a pinata and cupcakes and shit like that, like you run over because there's like a thing, you know what I'm saying? But like by the time we went into the studio, like I mean, one of the tracks, like we didn't take because like we'd already played it for 9 months in front of crowds, like compellingly. Like we learned what did good, what did bad. We didn't go in there like, oh, I want to do this or I might do that. You know, like we just kind of left it open, you know, and just like we had an idea of exactly what we wanted to do, and we let like the process kind of speak for it without really compromising that thing. And like to that point, like I was talking with Dave Catching because we recorded at Rancho, and when I was talking with him a couple episodes back, I was telling him like my favorite memory of that is like I went to him and just like, hey man, we got this track. So we played it once or twice. And I was like, what do you, like, guitar-wise, man? Like, help me get out of my bubble. Because I could just put up my Sovtech in a fuzz box and go. And he's like, I got this thing called the Dragon Slayer.
Cool. What is this?
It's this Lanham amplifier, like a 300-watt little combo thing. And it's gator skin, like, just, like, it's gnarly. And the idea there was, like, we were able to try all the ideas, but we didn't have to like say, well, I don't want to try that thing because I already came in with some preconceived notion of what I wanted to do. And we didn't have to compromise on like the opportunity that was there. Because that's the other thing is I feel like, I think so many people, especially when they're making records, like they're just so excited about getting it out. They're not really concerned about whether or not they're going to give a fuck about it later. Because
that's a big thing. I think that's the most important thing because you can spend a lot of time recording a record. And the time you spend recording to the time it gets released, a lot of things can happen. You can fuck up and record something that's irrelevant. We've done that. We've done that. Like we've recorded probably 5 albums. We haven't released 2 of them. And because like we spent a lot of time recording and it was just not there for the time. So like I think timeless music is what everybody really should be striving for, like without spending too much time thinking about I need this to be timeless, but like finding something genuine that can resonate for a long time is super important. Yeah.
Timeliness is key. I'll tell you this. We recorded the song, the one we just released this weekend, Resist 45, and like it's really an anti-Trump song.
Yeah.
Like there's only so much time that we can release that where it's still fucking, you know, relevant. And then like I got in my head about it, like, yeah, that means something now, but Uber Allies, you know, like he's like shit is still relevant today, and that was done in like 1984.
Wow. The anti-Trump here, let's riff on that. Do you think he's going to win?
I am terrified that it doesn't matter.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
All right, to get my legitimate opinion.
Yeah.
I think that the only way you're going to be able to get him out of office is by force.
Yeah.
I think he has primed a very large amount of his audience, which is very clearly defined, and I would consider the majority of them to be victims of manipulation and like victims of abuse, like a battered wife or like a kid that gets beat up every day, like, and that is very much an existential crisis of. It's one thing to go and attack somebody, but when they're defending their home like a caged rat or whatever, they're going to fight back as hard as they can.
Yeah.
And even if he does lose, the idea of getting him out of the office, because he's also basically running for his freedom, because
that's what people forget. Go on.
if he loses and he's potentially held accountable, I mean, not only that, like the legitimate legal penalty for some of the crimes is literally death.
Nice.
So like you have to like keep into account that there's a guy who is basically got a whole bunch of people that feel victimized, that he's weaponized their fear and ignorance.
Yep.
And the idea that even if he loses, you're gonna have to get him out. So that's a big issue. And I think the side of it is that to get him out, you're going to have the Senate, or you're going to have we have 3 branches of government, right? You're going to have to get them to basically agree.
Yeah.
And that's even if that still exists, but he's already padded one branch of government with complete yes men. Yep. And the elected officials who basically, if they go against him, they could potentially lose their freedom and their life, right? Yeah. So like you have 2 out of 3 branches of government that are put in position by election, that have, you know, one of them has been heavily endorsed and backed by racist propaganda for decades and decades and decades.
Yep.
and that are working specifically to reduce the ability to vote.
Yep.
And, you know, where basically it's judges that are appointed to a system, and he has leveraged that system.
Absolutely.
Even if he legitimately loses, he could call into question the legitimacy of the vote, which he set in advance 4 years ago when he was running, you know, right after Obama.
Yeah.
So theoretically, if he loses, it could be because the vote was cheated, and
Yeah.
all the people coming after your well-being as a human being and as a society and as like a religious individual, because he's playing on that card too.
Yeah.
They're coming after you. They're waging war against you. So like the amount of effort it's going to have to take to extract him from that position is so, like, I don't believe it. And I think, to be fair, he's said repeatedly, like, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And that his entire career out of appearing to win. He doesn't lose publicly.
That's it. Yeah, I've been having the same fears. Like, I think just the way I feel from a Canadian standpoint. I'm from Toronto, so what the fuck? But it just feels like this is set up for him to win again. Like, because there's just too many factors that would be terrifying if he loses. It's already terrified with having him in. I remember 4 years ago when he was running, and I was in May. I was like Donald Trump is gonna win. Why is nobody talking about this? Like, the areas in which typically elected officials win when they're winning the elections are very, very much in favor of Donald Trump. This is going to be a win. Those are, a lot of them are still the same. So what are we talking about? This guy. I think this guy's primed to win because he has way too much fucking to lose if he loses. Like, he's going to the chair if he loses. You know, like, he's like it's just a thing. Like, they're coming after him. They're not gonna let that shit slide. So super, super, super interesting. Very, very, very scary. Just the institutionalized fucking corruption that's going on. And I get it's politics. Like, this is what happens.
It's not hiding. Like, so
Yeah.
when this thing happened, there was like this, like, we get a stimulus, right? Like, I mean, you all did it much better, right? But like, so we had this stimulus basically helping support the people, right? So basically, when that was going in the 11th hour, they're basically holding this shit at ransom. The way they got out to give everybody, like, you know, a couple $100 every other week or something like that, basically enough. Where I live in Los Angeles, like, that's basically enough to eat food, like barely rent or anything else.
Yeah.
And in order to get that money released, they had to release over $500 billion for, like, the folks that wrote the thing.
Yeah.
Which was somebody that was assigned to oversight it.
Yeah.
Well, it was written. He fired the guy that was there to oversight it, then fired the guy that holds the guy accountable for the oversight, then installed his own person under a new situation that basically completely overwrites that. And everybody was either in favor of him giving them a bunch of money, which one day they're against, like, socialism, and then the next day they're really happy he gave them money. And then, like, they're afraid of, like, well, they don't like corruption in big government, but they're also completely in favor of him embezzling $500 billion and firing everybody that can hold him accountable.
It's fun. It's fun. I love politics. And like, I don't really find much difference from an actual policy implementation point from the left or the right. I find that people, if they actually want to get something done, they kind of navigate the center in a way, and to get whatever passed on the left or the right. So that's just my perception of it. But like, I'm having trouble trying to understand how people support this fucking guy. Like, I want somebody to explain this. Like, explain how this makes sense. Like, what world do you live in where this makes sense? Like, I remember the Bush presidency. I'm sorry, Bush Jr. presidency, and I remember being like, "This is the scariest presidency of all time." But this guy is going to war for literally oil. Nothing. It looks like nothing that's happening is real. This is crazy. And now I'm thinking, you know, that wasn't that bad. That wasn't that bad at all. It's funny, man. It's a joke. It's turned. It's people don't understand how much power the president has. Like, look what this guy's done.
People too that like people and to those folks, like I've got those folks in my family. You know, like I mean. I'm a military brat. Like I grew up, you know, like around both sides of things. Like I get it. Like I understand. Like I grew up in a religious military household, which is one of the reasons that, like I have tattoos, long hair, and like play punk rock. Like, feel like you either embrace it or you fight, right? Like that's
one of the extremes. Yeah, it makes sense.
And I get it. Like I understand like where a lot of these people are coming from, because like there's just this ability to. More than anything, I'll say this, and this is more deep politics than than esoteric, but just to get in a little bit of history for a second for all those that want like a history class. So in the 80s, Ronald Reagan, the president, one of his actions was he removed this law that effectively meant that every publication had to have, every news organization had to be able to justify what they said as factual, and had to present both sides of an argument. They basically, you couldn't have a polarized position as a public news agency.
Wow.
So he got rid of that. Now, at the same time, the folks that were working with him also had radio and television networks. And what happened directly afterwards was this rise of what they call political talk radio, Republican talk radio, and you know, Talk Radio Network and Radio America and all these like super, just like they're cramming Jesus and the military down your throat, because otherwise you're like a fucking communist or whatever, slut punk. Not digging that, right? And like, so what happened was there's this entire generation of people that were basically raised where they don't understand that there's not a legal requirement for something like news to be factual. Now, there is a legal requirement in how you categorize your business, but nobody checks up on that. So, for instance, a company called Fox News, right? Big company. Most people know about Fox News.
Yeah.
Fox News is not classified as a news organization. It is classified as an entertainment organization. Yeah. It is in the same as like ESPN and BuzzFeed. It's categorized legally in that realm. And so there's an entire network of an echo chamber and a bubble where basically they all can work on each other, and there's no legal requirement. Now, the two things about that, number one, is it's also very closely related to the political party that enforces that. And they use it as market research. They basically have 20 people say different things, then whatever resonates better, they move up the chain. And that was something Donald Trump did exceptionally well with Facebook advertising back in the election. I mean, he killed the game at doing that. I got to respect like, what he did.
He freaked the game, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then the other side of it is that because of that situation, what they can also do is effectively create their own narratives where they source each other as like what's happening, and they can demonize the they. Right, everybody's afraid of the people that aren't them, for to some aspect, you know, and that's you get cultural things, and where you know, whether it's racism or classism or whatever. Like if it's not you, it's different. Whether it's 1984 or you know whatever, you know, even fucking Animal Farm, right? Like, or the khakis versus like, so you have that kind of thing, right? And so they basically have been able to indoctrinate an entire generation where the people. Because there was a shift in the late 60s, early 70s about what the parties belonged to.
Yes.
Basically, Kennedy came up and pushed, you know, helped with Martin Luther King, and they really pushed this, you know, civil rights agenda, right? So the parties effectively switched sides, and the reason you can tell they switched sides was the KKK basically went from all their money behind the Democrats to throwing all their money behind Nixon. And he basically did that to win the election. And so they basically never realized that something happened because it happened slowly. You know, it took like a decade. Their kids all grew up with their parents teaching them this right-wing thing, and then their kids get basically radicalized. And so now, like, you've got full-on college-educated, mid-30s, completely like intelligent individuals that you and them are going to look at the sky. You're going to say it's blue, and they're going to call you a fascist as a response. You know what I mean? And there's not a retort to the question. It's like, hey, how do you feel about this? Oh, well, clearly you're like, their main motivation, what they've been programmed for more than anything is that they are hurt. They just want to win. They're not, it's no longer a matter of left and right wing of a bird or some shit like that, two sides of a coin. It's literally now democracy versus autocracy. And the people that are pro-autocracy are basically coming at it not because they believe in it, but because they know that the people they've been trained to hate, it upsets them. Mm-hmm. The emotional validation that they get. And like I've gone on, Dirtycakes has gone on to multiple political talk radio shows of like some alt-right motherfuckers, like, and weird shit, like Latinos for Trump and like all these people, right? And like trying to have conversations with them. And like you can just see this like, where at some point their main motivation is to win the conversation, not to actually create anything of value. And I think that lack of integrity basically destroys any ability to make progress.
Wow. That was very, very educational. I'm definitely going to dig deep into that because honestly, I did not know. But just hearing it out, I can see the children of the uninformed, radicalized people are now the leaders of today. Or the children of...
Like I said, I was going to drop some history for a second. You know, like the kid was raised in that household. Like that was me. And I ended up in political talk radio for years. Yeah. I was part of that gap. I was part of that system.
Oh, that's very incredible.
About that system, it's one of the best business models you can get into. When people go into advertising, say you have a podcast, right? If you have a podcast talking about liberal whatever, you're going to get an endorsement from fucking Audible and maybe, I don't know, Manscaped or some shit. Cool. You have a podcast about right-wing, alt-right, like conspiracy, QAnon shit, you're going to get funding from political organizations to continue what you're doing. The consumer that buys from conservative talk radio tends to spend 3 to 5 times more than the consumer that buys from liberal talk radio.
So simple math, why people are doing this. It makes sense. I want to make more money. So, like, my bandmate Cola's in here right now. Like, I've had this discussion. I was like, listen, man, if I was ever going to run for governor of the United States, I think the easiest path is to run as a Republican. I would just say some fucking wild shit, and I would get people in areas that back wild shit to back me. And then I'd flip. and then I'd flip.
That's great. like at the end of fucking like Scooby-Doo, where you just take off, it's like, oh, it's Mr. King.
But it's crazy. Like I think about Candace, what's her name? Candace, or whatever her name is. Like I think about the wild shit, and I think about like I love talking to the right. I love talking to the far left. I love talking to the right. I love talking to everybody, and like just understanding, just so I can understand a little bit more like what their position is. But the more I try to reason or rationalize with somebody that has extreme politics, particularly people with extreme conservatism, extreme right politics, extreme Trumpism, like I am perplexed. Like it seems like they're not in touch with reality. That's what it feels like. And you know what? They're not in touch with my reality. Like they read different news, they go to different bars, they talk to different people, they're raised by different people, or they live in different areas. They're completely removed from like my walk of life. So yeah, they have a different reality. It's crazy though, because it lacks all rationality. The man is a fucking racist. The man is sexist. The man, you elected a fucking guy where you know what this guy was about. He's told you what he's about.
He's upfront and honest about it.
Yeah, he's told you what he's about. He's shown you what he's about.
Like, I literally just showed you a picture of his own tweet. Words that he used on camera. Like, I had a 5-minute conversation with somebody on camera, like Latino for Trump, about when he tweeted out some guy, like, screaming white power. And it was like, he's like, oh no, I support it. Like clearly, like I was taken out of context. Like, what context makes it okay for the president to isolate this one little bit, and to chop up this one video and then send it out? And he's like, well, he took it down. Like, yeah, somebody had to get him to take it down. I think Nicola's on to something here too. I guess that's your bandmate. It's like,
yeah, Nicola.
It's very much religion.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely the same shit as like the fire god and like the fucking like I'm not gonna talk shit about anybody's religion. I'm just saying it's very much in that exact same vein, and it's really interesting that that there's a direct correlation between poor education, high reliance on cultural religion inside of your community, and acceptance of what he's doing.
Wow.
There is a direct tie between those things.
I don't know, like just being my Canadian self and from Toronto, Ontario, a very fucking liberal place. Like, or at least in where I'm from in Toronto, is like, it just seems crazy. It seems like the things that he talks about seem ridiculous. The things that are fought about are ridiculous. Why shouldn't you guys have healthcare for everyone? Why is that a conversation? Like, why is that a conversation?
And because like I'm not gonna pay for that with like some bullshit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's
So like that thought process is crazy to me.
It's like, we provide this service, it will prevent somebody from being able to take advantage of me as a victim, and I support them, so I won't let you do it. It is embracing. I mean, it's making excuses for the person to beat you because they're not showing bruises on your face.
Yeah. Jesus.
Knock your fucking teeth out, so clearly they love you.
Yeah.
You know what? I look at it very much like that. Like, and honestly, like when we try to talk to people, because I run the Instagram account, I'm getting the messages and the comments and shit.
You guys are getting a lot of messages.
I feel so bad. Like I get messages from people, and I'm like, look, that was 400 messages ago. You hit me 3 hours ago. I apologize. Like, it is gnarly. And on Saturdays, we've been doing this thing where we just like throw up just political memes. Like, look, you just fucking have a party. Like, I don't even care. And like in the comment section there, it's very much just like trying to help people at least have the platform to challenge their preconceived notions. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying, walk me through what you're saying. Okay, this is what you believe. Why is that? Okay, backed by this. Like, just walk it out for me. And while I'm not necessarily changing anybody's opinion, what I am able to do, and I get messages about this, and I'm saying me because I'm the one talking. It's from the Dirtycakes account, but I'll take ownership for my words, and I don't want to put words in Becky or Rick's mouth, because while I may have their proxy from time to time, I sure as fuck get fucked up, and Becky let me know, because she don't take no shit. I love her, absolutely. It is that, like, when people can see that, it gives them a sense of understanding. Like, the person fighting for it might be off, but when you're looking at somebody that's kind of off and what they're fighting for, it allows you to take a slightly different view. And more than that, I think the best thing about it is we've had people that basically come to us and say, like, there's everybody, like, we had this like teenage trans girl, like middle America, whose parents basically think that she's like, because she's trans, and like her thing that she's a mistake, like a problem, like you know what I'm saying? This terrible thing. And she found a community where like the shit that she says doesn't seem crazy, because she can see somebody that's crazy, and then the overwhelming people from all over the world that are like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, why is somebody not as good as you just because they're not as, like, why is somebody lesser than you?
Yeah.
Because they don't have the same enthusiasm about being a victim that you do. And,
wow.
Like, we get those messages every now and again, and like, look, like, I'll act like a fucking fool for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks on the internet, but if like I get 2 messages like that, I'm not gonna stop.
Never, and you can't. Giving a voice to the unheard is super important, and a platform in which they can speak is kind of like what I'm driving the OBGMs on. Like, so it's me talking typically on the OBGMs, like, and like I don't have anybody's proxy. I'm just still talking though. And like what I'm kind of driving my platform for is like, so in our community, like right now, I'm noticing, particularly in the rock and roll, hard rock, punk rock sectors, there's not a lot of people of color that are fronted because the long and short of it is that the supply and demand of it is that typically the music industry is going to fund something that they know can make money, and a lot of these bands that look like this haven't shown that. So it's a race to be second to be like that, and unfortunately, that doesn't look like me.
Like a lot of seven dusts and bad and like body count. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so like what I've taken it on to do is like what's bigger than my music is like my building up my community of this like other bands that, and that's kind of how I met the Muslims, where I was like, yo, this is fucking real music right here. Like lyrically, it's raw. Music delivery is it's perfect. And like, why don't I know about you? Like, why have I never heard of you before? And I just kind of set out to look for as many bands that were fronted by Black, Indigenous, or people of color, just to kind of just connect with other people that like maybe going through the same things like I am, which is I'm not accepted in rock, I'm not accepted in punk. They don't play us on the radio. They don't put us on their media. They don't book us for their shows, and that's the type of shit. And I found hundreds and hundreds of other bands, and just like I just want to kind of just build a community where they all know each other, and we just kind of grow from there. I mean,
can you drop the names so that we can all know about it? Because that's fucking awesome.
Man, I got a long list.
Long list, and the Muslims literally DM'd me a list of people to tag. That's how I found you guys. But like, yeah. I mean, we'll tag them in the end. Like, if you can give some homework, DM me just like a fucking laundry.
Okay, I got a whole playlist of that. I'll update. Yeah, but some choice ones just off the top of the head. Danny Denial, Troy Irons, Oxymorons, 2RONS, King Youngblood, John Crow. Jesus Christ, man, there's so fucking many. Sea of Troubles. But like, you know, I kind of just go from there. Black Rock, they're another. But there's so many fucking sick bands that I'll send you 100 of them. Crystal Access, 100 of them.
Send me some Instagram handles. I'll put every single fucking one of them on blast, man. Like 100%. Like,
I just love it because it brings me back to just when I discovered music, when I was just like, I was digging to find these bands, and it just made me feel so happy because I remember going to the record store and like not having a lot of money. I had $20 or I had $10, and like there's 2 CDs for 10, right? So I looked for whatever combination I could find by just digging for music, and like it brought me back to that. So I was really happy when I was able to discover bands like the Muslim and like, you know, gain their friendship. Like particularly the Muslims, I feel like they're what the fuck.
It's so much. Hey, Instagram's telling me we got like a minute left or whatever until it's gonna kick us off because these can only be an hour. But what I would love to do is we've talked about a lot of stuff. I just want to say thanks and like let me give you the last minute until this thing fucking cuts off, man.
Yeah.
Fucking just I love the idea. Yeah, let's make a link of all these fucking rad ass fucking bands because every one of them that you listed, I don't fucking know. And like it reminds me of Napster, and I can go off another 20 fucking minutes of that shit. But like, let me give you the end of it, and when it cuts off, it cuts off. And like, I love you, man. Thank you so much. And then you're gonna have to send me this list.
I will.
And now just
Nirvana. The Nirvana. The OBGMs have an album coming out. The OBGMs. But I'll send you a list, a cool playlist of all these other bands. Nova Twins, Fever 333. We out here. Thank you very much, Dirtycakes band, man. We really, really appreciate y'all. Fuck Trump. Fuck him. And yeah, that's about it. Shout out for the Diaper Cola, that EP coming out soon. Yeah, that's about it.
All right, man. Well, look, thank you so much, dude. I really appreciate it. And like whatever else we can do to help each other out, man. This community, let's keep it going. And all my OBGMs merch that I have.
Yeah, just like that. We're Nirvana. I'm Kurt Cobain.
Fair enough. All right, my man. Look,
All right, bro.
I'll go. Thank you so
Peace
much.